And as you'd expect, this is a game where players are going to be playing as canine pirates, and you might be happy to know that it does live up to its name with the inclusion of a ton of fantastic puns. This is a competitive game where each player is going to be playing as their own puppy pirate crew, and each player is going to have their own personal player board that's going to keep track of their ship and its stats, which includes its movement, its strength, its luck, and agility. All these stats can be upgraded and modified throughout the game, and you can also temporarily boost any of these stats by overworking your crew. This, of course, does make them a little bit more unhappy and can cause a mutiny as you play throughout the game. Players are going to be playing over a series of rounds, alternating their turns, and on a turn you're going to first start by determining the amount of movement that you have. Each player is going to have a base movement, but then you also have your multi-use workers, which can be placed on your shipboard to increase your overall movement stats. Players will then be spending these movement points to move around to the various islands out on the board in order to do things like find resources, items, money, cannons, and other treasures, or even to bury treasures on other islands as long as they're not spotted by their opponent pirates. Whenever you leave an island, you can also leave one of your crew members behind in order to take control of that island. This is one of the ways that you can win the game, but it also frees up a space inside your shipboard, which can then be used to hold other items or gear that you find along the way. Other players could try to take the control of the island away from you, but in order to do that, they need to put more of their crew members on the island than what you had left behind. But of course, this wouldn't be a proper pirate game if you couldn't fire those cannons, and there are opportunities for that because there'll be various trade ships that can spawn out on the board, and players can try to attack these ships by rolling a die in combination with their stats with a push your luck mechanism to determine if they win that battle. But players can also attack each other as well with the same mechanism, and combat is one of the ways that you can win the game because this is a game that actually has 3 different win conditions. You can either defeat enough trade ships, bury enough treasure, or control enough islands, or in other words, marking your territory. Players will also want to gain an advantage over their opponents by gaining certain items or upgrading their ships, which they can do by spending a very valuable resource known as bones. And if players do find themselves in a particularly tight spot, like I said, you can overwork your crew to temporarily raise some of your stats. And the way that this works is that you're going to be spending points on your mutiny track, moving down that track, in order to temporarily pump one of your stats upward. This does come as a trade-off because if you do move down that track, that's going to cause you to lose movement points on your turn. But if you're able to keep your crew happy and move that track all the way up, you'll actually get additional movement points. Of course, if it gets all the way to the bottom, you're going to have a full-fledged mutiny on your hands, and there will be some negative consequences you'll have to deal with. The game continues like this until one of the players is able to fulfill one of those 3 win conditions, and that player wins the game. And if you want to learn more, you can check out this campaign. I have it linked in the description below.